Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies are 87% higher than the national average.
My question is this.
That's what I want to be focused on, Senator.
Do you have the power to say no to the president? And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't do it. I won't play politics with any ongoing investigation.
So let me ask you another.
Like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can.
In today's hearing, Pam Bondi faced questions that cut straight to the heart of America's rule of law. Could she, as Attorney General, truly say no to Donald Trump? Could she speak the truth about the 2020 election? Could she protect the Department of Justice from being used as a political weapon? What unfolded was a revealing and deeply troubling exchange that showed just how fragile independence at the DOJ may be.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president can commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. And sitting here
today,
Senator, 72% of Americans have lost faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question? You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging law enforcement sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is horrible.
Are you aware of a...
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked at it.
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on what
asked
you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a hypothetical.
President has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know
called
what we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my questions.
California right now
You are
is
aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your
my-
robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
My question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is this.
focused on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I
No,
won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any
to
ongoing
power. So
investigation.
let me ask you another.
Like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election? Yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question. If you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in
No,
Pennsylvania.
I know you want to answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election? Yes or no? Was there
I
or
can
was there
tell
not?
you what I saw when I went as an advocate
That's
to
not
the
my question.
campaign.
So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case.
so you
Let me
look
finish.
at-
On a case-by-case
Okay,
basis.
okay, good. Let
And
me-
I
let me-
abhor violence to police officers.
Follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President, I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as
do,
well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am
Of
asked
course you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Hey,
president?
can I
Will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I would
is-
have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress,
also-
Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so
also- It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have
I can't
difficulty?
believe this is even.
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe
Why do you
you're
have
asking such a
difficulty?
question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I know that you are pleased that we are moving to the end of round one, and we appreciate your being here.
The confirmation hearing for Pam Bondi, Donald Trump's nominee for Attorney General, was never going to be routine. The stakes are simply too high. With the Supreme Court's recent ruling in Trump v. United States, which declared that presidents have absolute immunity for core official acts, the nation finds itself in uncharted waters. Justice Sotomayor warned that this ruling sits like a loaded weapon, ready to be wielded by any president who wishes to place himself above the law. That warning loomed heavily over the Senate chamber as Democrats questioned Bondi. The central issue was not her resume or her courtroom experience, but her independence. Would she act as the nation's top law enforcement officer or as Donald Trump's personal lawyer? The questioning quickly revealed troubling patterns. When asked whether she would investigate Jack Smith simply because Trump demanded it, Bondi refused to give a simple no. Instead, she hid behind legal formalities, saying she had not seen the file, that she would look at the facts, and that she would not act on summaries. But everyone knew what was really being asked. Will the Department of Justice become a tool of vengeance? Her non-answers suggest that she is unwilling, or unable, to stand against Trump's pressure. The same played out with Liz Cheney. Trump has publicly called for Cheney to be jailed. Asked whether she was aware of any factual predicate to investigate Cheney, Bondi again dodged. She claimed no one had asked her to open such an investigation. But the truth is obvious. Trump has asked, publicly and repeatedly. Bondi could not summon the independents to declare, unequivocally, that Cheney should not be investigated for exercising her constitutional duty. Even on the simple matter of acknowledging that Trump lost the 2020 election, Bondi stumbled. She said she would not play politics, but telling the truth is not politics. It is a basic test of honesty. The inability to admit that there was no massive fraud in 2020 signals something deeper, a refusal to confront Trump with reality. And if the Attorney General cannot speak basic truths, the DOJ's credibility crumbles. The subject of pardons exposed even more. Trump has promised sweeping pardons for January 6 rioters, including those who assaulted police officers. Asked if she would advise against blanket pardons, Bondi once again defaulted to vague answers about reviewing files. But the point was clear. She would not commit to protecting the rule of law against Trump's reckless promises. If she will not say no now, why should anyone believe she will say no later? And then there was the issue of evidence. The January 6 investigation has produced crucial documentation of Trump's efforts to overturn the election. Asked if she would commit not to destroy that evidence, Bondi refused a direct pledge. She said she would follow the law and consult with DOJ officials. But this was not a technical question, it was a moral one. Preserving the record of January 6th is about protecting history, protecting justice, and protecting democracy itself. Her refusal to make a clear commitment was deeply alarming. Each exchange revealed the same pattern: hedging, dodging, refusing to take a stand. At every turn, Bondi avoided the moment of truth where she could prove her independence. Instead, she demonstrated deference to Trump, and that is precisely why Democrats pressed so hard. Because here is the reality. The Supreme Court has already weakened one of the last restraints on presidential power. With immunity established, the Attorney General may become the only meaningful check left. If the person occupying that office is unwilling to resist the president, then the balance of justice collapses. The DOJ ceases to serve the people and becomes an extension of the president's will. The hearing was not hypothetical. Trump has already shown his hand. He has named the people he wants prosecuted. He has promised mass pardons. He has denied the results of an election he lost. He has attacked Jack Smith, Liz Cheney, and countless others who dared to challenge him. He has laid out his intentions for a second term, and those intentions involve dismantling the independence of the Justice Department. Bondi's inability to give clear, principled answers should terrify anyone who believes in the rule of law. If she cannot say that Trump lost the 2020 election, how can she be trusted to defend democracy? If she cannot promise to preserve evidence of January 6, how can the American people trust that the truth will remain intact? If she cannot say no to Trump's political vendettas, then the DOJ will no longer belong to the people. It will belong to one man. This is why Democrats were so forceful. They understand the stakes. They understand that an attorney general who refuses to stand firm against Trump could greenlight one of the darkest chapters in American history. They understand that the fight for democracy is not abstract, it is immediate. Pam Bondi's performance at this hearing revealed a dangerous reality. She is not prepared to say no to Trump. And in this moment, that is what the nation needs most: a Justice Department that serves the law, not the president. The Supreme Court has placed immense new powers in Trump's hands. Without a fiercely independent attorney general, those powers will be abused. Democrats left the hearing with no reassurance. The American people should leave it with eyes wide open. What we saw was not independence, it was obedience. And if confirmed, the consequences for justice in America could be devastating.